First race up today then will be Honda Cadet. It's four heats for Honda Cadet, of which each driver will contest 3 of them. Such is the magnitude of the grid here in Honda Cadet. Heat 1 then will see Sam Hayes in the number 11 on pole position. Alongside him, Harris Ali. Row 2 sees Cameron Tipping alongside Alfie Forrester. Alex Lynn and Freddie Howser on row number 3. Row 4 has Ethan Charles alongside James Winstanley. The top 10 completed by Ralphie Branscombe and Stanley Clark with Jensen White and Max Williams. That'll be an interesting row number 6, both drivers with good pace. Freddie Line starts 13th alongside Mason Webster. James Fabricius and Nate Gage are on row number 8 with Max Gritrex and Lewis Hall on row 9. Ayrton Rye starts 19th alongside Larry Price. Look for him to come through the pack. Tom Drake is on row 11 alongside Amy Peacock, Sam Howell and George Ralston on row 12. Then row 13 has Tom Percox alongside Harry Samuel with Harris Roberts, Max Housigo, Elliot Dimilo and Scarlett Percox on row number 15. That completes the grid then for heat number 1. There they are, ready to go out, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce the man behind the Cadet Kart Championship, Matty Street. Matty, welcome to the Combox. Let's just have a quick chat about, first of all, about this wonderful championship, now in its 3rd season, and just seems to be going from strength to strength.
Yeah, that's right. So like you say, we're in our 3rd season. We've tripled in size year on year, going from strength to strength.
And not only this season are we streaming via the Alpha Live YouTube channel for the season, but we're also looking to bring in a wonderful series in terms of Driven Dreams as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Let's start from, first of all, how it came about.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I like to do things a little bit differently most of the time. And, you know, people stream races, they do post-production edits of races, and I thought, let's try and do something completely different. And then that's how the idea for a TV show came about. Last year, I was lucky enough to be involved in a TV show with one of our drivers that's on the grid, Sandro Ballesteros in Junior Rotax. And the producer of that show, me and him got along quite well and then developed this concept.
So in terms of the concept then, what is it all about? It's not just going to be race day footage, it's not just going to be the races and then that's it. There's going to be a lot more behind the scenes, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. So almost the racing of the series is secondary to what we want the show to be about. You know, it's promoting grassroots karting, showcasing some of the best young talent we've got in the country coming up, their backstories, their sort of, you know, journeys into motorsport so far, what they're hoping to achieve, and just really giving a little bit of personal background into the drivers.
So that one that you originally did with Sandro, who we will see later on, and we'll focus a little bit about when you go to Junior Rotax, that must have really served as pretty much of a pilot where you're following one driver. Then with Driven Dreams, you're following, you know, at least probably about 20% of the CKC grid. Yeah,
that's right. Well, that was one of the things. So when we was talking to the producer of this other show, which is called My Life, My 100-mile-an-hour Superpower, there was a few different sort of plot holes, if you like, that they weren't able to capture or weren't able to explore due to the restrictions of the production. And that's hopefully something that we're going to fill this year.
And that's out soon, I believe, is it, the first one?
Yeah, so Sandro's show goes live on the 31st of March on, I can't remember what BBC channel, but it's on our BBC channel.
So now, obviously that will go onto iPlayer as well, so everybody will be able to have a quick look at that one. But it is a wonderful story, I believe. Half-an-hour programme following Sandro's move from karting into car racing in the JSCC. He is back, obviously, in a kart today. As you can see on circuit, that's the opening race of the day making their way round. They will get one full lap round this Fulbeck circuit to familiarise themselves. It's been wet in practice on the previous days, so other than practice this morning where they got around about 10 minutes, it is straight out onto the circuit. On the opening lap as well, they will miss the first chicane here at Fulbeck. It is a long run, even though it's a standing start. They will be heading down towards what we call turn 1 because it is the first effective turn after the 2 chicanes here at Fulbeck. It's a long run, and even from a standing start, they will be heading into that corner much quicker than they would at normal racing pace. So for this first heat of the day, it really is a case. Is it a case of favouring the brave or will it favour the cautious? We're about to find out here as the opening race of the 2022 season here in CKC is moments away. Matty, I'm excited. You must be excited for this continuously growing championship. I mean, I can't really say much more than that. I'm going to give this one to you. It must be, you know, you must be thrilled with it. You know, the way that it's growing. Cadets, we've got over 40 drivers, hence why we're mixing it up in terms of it's going to be 3 heats. for each driver. Then it's going to be an A final. The top 20 are going to go straight into that. The remainder will go into a final shootout for the final 10 places on the grid for the Honda Cadet final. So that's going to be an exciting one to come through. A couple of drivers as well, they'll be down as novices. You'll notice they'll have black backgrounds, so we'll see what their progress is through the pack and see whether they can make any inroads into the more established drivers in this cadet class. Yeah, that's right. It's been a lot of sleepless nights over the past few weeks trying to get everything ready to go. There's been a lot of moving parts getting the championship set up and ready, but yeah, I'm happy we're here now. Can sleep tomorrow. Matty, thank you very much. Hopefully we'll speak to you again later on in the season as well as we continue this wonderful championship. The track is being cleared. Looks like everybody is in position, certainly those at the front. Looks like there's just a bit of confirmation on the position. Matty, thank you very much for joining us. Here we are then for heat number 1 for the opening race of CKC 2022. We're obviously as well, we'll have JKC, that's the Junior Kart Championship, so we'll see that, and you'll see more branding for that later on as well with the coming out of this series. Looks like we are just having a quick check on one driver being potentially out of position here further down. I think we are having a little bit of a reshuffle down towards the tail end of this mixed up grid. It's random grids then for all of our classes here in the CKC. So everybody will have an opportunity to start at the front. Everyone will have a middle and a rear position. And that's worked out then on a weighted average. Everybody sort of running at, certainly in Hondas, an average of about P12, P13 in this Honda Cadet class. So really, really interesting here then for this opening race. 8 minutes plus 1 lap for our heats. It's going to be 12 minutes plus 1 lap for our finals later on in the day. We will be covering all of the CKC and JKC classes. Looks like we are clear. The red lights are on. We're just going to wait for the final few people to be clear of the circuit before we get going here then at Fulbeck in Lincolnshire. Final few look to be clear. Have a quick look shortly for the board to go up from the gantry. 5-second board is up. Lights are on, and the CKC Championship for 2022 is underway. There was a little bit of creeping in the middle of the pack. I think the 91 of Fabricius went early, but then managed to stop before the lights came on. Let's see what the outcome of that may be, but it's been a good start from the inside from Harris Ali in the 76. He's got away well as Alex Lynn tries to run all the way around the outside, and the 49 of Ethan Charles is going to come through as well. Now it's a case of running through what we call turn 2 here at Fulbeck. It's just an offset right-left, and then it's hard on the brakes for the first of the chicanes that they'll be racing today. There's some heavy contact there in the background, and with the drivers running that front fairing penalty. I'll explain that further throughout the day once things have calmed down, as Jensen White in the 58 dives down the inside of the 87 of Cam Tipping into the hairpin at the far end of the circuit. We'll run through some more of the corner numbers later on as we go, once again when things calm down. The contact warning picked up by the 95 of James Winstanley. That's going to be hung out over the gantry there. Here, and the opening lap of CKC sees Harris Ali leading the way from Alex Lynn with Ethan Charles, Jensen White, James Fabricius, Cameron Tipping, Ralphie Branscombe, Freddie Housigo, Max Williams and Sam Hayes, the pole sitter, getting overtaken there into the turn 1 hairpin by Larry Price. And there's a bit of contact, and that's the 95. Round and into the wall, James Winstanley facing the wrong way. Contact, and that sees him in the tyres. The yellow flags are out down that far end of the circuit. The driver still stationary down there as the marshals make their way over to make sure that the driver is okay. I think that's more of a case that he's beached up against the tyres and is unable to move away. The marshal then dragging him away. And let's see whether Winstanley can rejoin the action here at Fulbeck, or whether he's going to bring that kart back into the pit lane. But the opening race of the CK season, not a good one for James Winstanley. Contact on the outside of the turn 1 hairpin. Back to the front though, Harris Ali is starting to build a lead as the rest of the pack struggle to get past the 6 of Alex Lynn. Now we see Ethan Charles trying to get down the inside. He's got alongside, but probably not enough to get a nose down the inside, and it's still going to be Alex Lynn there, is it, in the background, as there's more contact between the 96 and the 24. The 24 being Max Williams, showing good pace to try and get through, but cannot seem to get past the 96 there of Ralphie Branscombe. Branscombe then still continuing to hold the rest of the pack behind him, and now there's a train of drivers struggling to get past Branscombe, and it's backing up now all the way. There's at least 10 drivers, I think, all the way back. Let's see if we can pick a number out down the back end of that, but at least 10 of them struggling to get past Branscombe, and that's really opened the pack up. So Branscombe in P8 has got back in front of Williams, who was in front of him at the start of the previous lap, but the gap now there must be around about 4 seconds, trying to open that up to those in front of him. It is the top 5, 1.5 seconds between them. And still cannot get past Ralphie Branscombe. There's an overtake potentially in the background there. How's it go? Goes very wide on the way in, and the 77 of Max Grettrex gets alongside as Amy Peacock slots back in behind the 69 of Freddie Housigo. Both the Housigos in this opening heat of this CKC. We'll see them, they'll be split off later on, so at least one more race they should be out together in the family battle between the two of them. There's the move down the inside. That's Larry Price, and the 77 takes full advantage as well, going down the inside of the 24. And still, Ralphie Branscombe making that number 96 car possibly the widest thing in Fulbeck at the moment, as the train still cannot get through. Jensen White sets the fastest lap of the race, as now James Fabricius takes up the challenge of getting past Harris Ali. Ethan Charles, who had got through into second place, has dropped down into third, so the top 5 as it is, still running fairly nose to tail. Ali Fabricius as the 95 of Winstanley facing the wrong way again. The yellow flags are out down at the second chicane as the leaders still come through, and there's looks like they could be, they're waving some of them through. We could be going here to a controlled race. We've got a driver off on the outside then of the turn 2 chicane, and we may potentially be going to a controlled race. Let's see whether it continues as it is. But at the moment, the turn 2 chicane being circumnavigated by our drivers as they look to clear the circuit here at Fulbeck, and we should actually now be back racing properly using the full circuit. We've had a change for the lead as well on this previous lap with 3 minutes remaining. James Fabricius now leading the way from Harris Ali. Fabricius, a driver very familiar with this Fulbeck circuit, having raced here many, many times, putting that experience to good use, and is starting to pull away from Harris Ali in this opening heat. As in the background we see Ethan Charles chop across the front of Jensen White. White not able to get alongside Ethan Charles down into that second chicane, and it is a corner where you really need to set that one up at the turn 1 hairpin to get that run all the way down, because with the circuit going offset right to left on the way in, you have to get alongside very, very early, because if that driver comes across the front of you, you're both going into the tyre wall that's on the outside of the opening corner there, as White gets a really, really good run on Ethan Charles down towards the chicane. Will he pop out or will he stay in? Stays in the slipstream rather than popping out. Harris Ali then in second place, bouncing over these curbs at Fulbeck, and it really is a circuit that favours that in terms of the curbs. You do have to use them in order to maximise your pace here, as Amy Peacock steps in now into the top 10, running behind Max Grettrex in the 77, another driver in Peacock who's run here at Fulbeck a lot in previous years, racing in the club championship here on the 160 engine. We are of course on the 200s here for the CKC, and I'll talk a little bit more about that throughout the day when we have a little bit more downtime. But with these 8-minute races plus 1 lap, barely any time to breathe. We're under 2 minutes remaining then here, and with lap times coming in at around 54 seconds. The fastest lap so far, Larry Price with a 53.501. As we see in the background there, Junior Pro Kart getting themselves ready for their race, as Harris Ali is being closed in now by Ethan Charles and Jensen White, but neither of them so far have been able to make an overtaking opportunity, with the exception of Jensen White trying to get alongside Ethan Charles in the previous lap. But now he's still a kart length back. It's going to take a brave move from either of them to go down the inside of Harris Ali from that far back. Out at the front though, James Fabricius, 2.2 seconds and pulling away. And you can see there in the background, still, you see Ralphie Branscombe still in P10 with a train of karts behind him, as Jensen White goes down the inside, bounces over the curbs, uses the side pod as well to get past Ethan Charles. A good move down the inside, a late move as well. I think as Ethan Charles tried to get past Harris Ali, he left the door open for Jensen White, forgetting to defend whilst he was attacking, and Jensen White moves up into the top 3. Behind them though, you can see there Alex Lynn being closed in by Larry Price, Max Williams and Amy Peacock. who is starting to pull away slightly from Max Gutrex, but he is sticking with them. We're going to have a train of karts as they come round. It will be the last lap board next time because they're not going to get round in the next 20 seconds as Larry Price gets alongside Alex Lynn, but he's going to be a long way round the outside there. Pick the wrong side. He's going to dive to the inside late, and Larry Price gets through on Alex Lynn. And we'll now use this next lap or so to see if he can use Alex Lynn to back the rest of the pack up and move away. He defends slightly into the right-hand hairpin down there at the turn 4 hairpin as they head up to the complex of 5, 6, and 7. This is 5, the left-hander, hard on the brakes then for the right-hander, and then you barely even straighten the wheel. Keep the kart to the right-hand side and maximise the run all the way through and heading up. There's some lap traffic as Harris Alley still holding off Jensen White for second place as they come through the chicane. Oh, this guy looks like Gutrex is in the wall. On the inside, I think he's bounced himself back in the right direction now. Not too much loss there by Max Gutrex, but it's going to be at least a couple of places. We'll see if he's dropped, if you think he was P10 or P9, and is that Jensen White from P3. Looks like Jensen White is off on the outside of the hairpin. Let's confirm if it is him when he comes through. I'll have a quick look out at the combox window as well, but it looks like Jensen White from third place. It is Jensen White from third place. It's going to be well outside the top 10 now. Out of the final complex of corners, though, comes our leader. We've not focused too much on him because he's been so far down the field. James Fabricius wins the opening race of CKC 2022.